Well, good afternoon, everybody. It's Thursday, April 25th, and I just thought I'd come out to profile this tree that we have in our garden. I've profiled this one before, but I thought I'd do it again in case there are new subscribers to the channel that may be interested in it and haven't gone back and seen the videos I've done on this in the past. So I just thought I'd profile it now since it's in such beautiful shape. This is a small tree known as the Leonard Messel Magnolia. And this is a beautiful, small, compact magnolia that you can get for your garden or a special accent place on your property. It likes to be in full to part sun, and it needs to have a well-draining soil, ideally that's quite rich with compost and good fertility, but also allows free drainage so it never gets continuously wet. If it gets continuously wet, this tree will die. It also probably prefers a somewhat acidic soil, so here where we have largely sand, it does get that, especially with the adjacent pine trees continually shedding their needles onto the ground here. It acidifies the soil to some degree. As I mentioned, this is the Leonard Messel Magnolia. It was actually developed in the early 1900s by a German botanist, and it's a cross between Magnolia cobus and Magnolia stellata, which is also known as the star magnolia, and they hail from parts of Japan. So this is not a North American native magnolia, and there are native North American magnolias. This isn't one of them, but these are ones that you can get from your local garden centers and things like that. The advantage of this variety of magnolia is that it is very cold hardy. So here we're in a plant zone of about 5B, I think, but you can actually plant this in a zone 4 area as well. So this is quite hardy, more hardy than the saucer magnolia, which is also common in the springtime with its larger blooms of pink generally. But this one can go up to zone 4, so I know of people that have this one up north of Highway 7, and it does fine, probably right up into Ottawa as well. And I know saucer magnolia sometimes is found up there too, but we have one specimen of it here. And even though it's come back this year because of the warmer temperatures, when we initially got it, we almost lost it because we had a few really harsh winters and it just barely survived those. However, the star magnolia and this one, the Leonard Messel Magnolia, can take those colder temperatures down to minus 30 degrees in the winter. As you can see, the flowers have a white top side to the petals, and the undersides are strongly tinged with pink. And apparently it becomes more pink if you have cold nights during the spring. And certainly this spring we have had that. We've had some warm days, alternating with cold days, and then also cold nights. Last night, for example, was -5, and it's supposed to go to -5 tonight as well. And if you look around this tree, some of the petals are getting a little worn out looking. They're starting to turn a little bit brown in some areas. And this tree's actually been in bloom now for about a week or a week and a half. And they typically bloom for about 3 weeks in duration. So not a huge bloom period, but it's very pretty while it lasts. So I thought I'd get out and take a look at the tree. As they mature, these trees will reach a height of 3 to 4 meters. And a width of about 3 meters typically. This one here is about 2.5 meters tall and 3 meters wide right now. It's still fairly young, so it has a nice broad shape to it, very full and just filled with flowers. So they make a nice addition to the side of your garden, like we have it here in one end of my flower garden. And they also could be used as a specimen tree, placed out in the middle of a lawn, for example. They make a very nice, attractive tree to put in those locations. You can see that the branching is alternate on this tree, which means that the branches come out at different places than the ones on the other side, so they're not directly opposite each other. You'll have one branch come out here and then one will be further up and out. And that's the way the buds form as well, as you can see here. Alternate bud formation. Once the flowers have finished and they fall into the ground, that's typically when the leaves come out on the tree. And the leaves are a nice long, rich greenish color and a bit leathery and characteristic. Not too leathery in this particular variety, but typically magnolia in their look and appearance. And this tree gets lots of dense leaf cover, so it's quite shaded to the ground underneath it. And it just gives a little bit more of a tropical look to your garden here in the north. So yeah, if you're looking for a nice small tree to accent your property, whether in a garden or outside of the garden on the lawn, and you want something a little showier than your typical tree, this might be a good option. And especially if you're further north like we are here in zone 5B or 5A, a colder area in the winter, these Leonard Messel Magnolias are a good option. And they are also in the stellata group or the star magnolia group. So you can also get star magnolias that have a pure white flower typically. And I've seen those quite commonly around this area, and they do really well through the winter too. They're virtually almost the same plant, just slightly different colored flowers. So this is a nice option if you just have relatively small space that's largely in the sun, has good drainage, and you can add or already has good loamy soil or fairly organically rich soil and not constantly soaking wet, then this might be a good option for you to consider. The Leonard Messel Magnolia, a type of the star magnolia group of magnolias.